Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Around the Table GTA. This is episode 2 of season 3, and I think I'm going to start off this season with topics that push for perseverance, right? Life is hard. We all know that. It can be hard, it could be easy. We have our ups and downs, and sometimes things seem just so hard and crazy and chaotic that you know you don't want to try anymore, you don't want to fight anymore, you don't want to think that things are going to get better. You get in a state of mind that just puts you in a way where you just feel boxed in, you feel trapped. But the topics that we're going to start off is to just push you in a direction where you have to remember that all things end. That's good. All things end. That's bad as well. So if you could persevere, you could push through. This episode, we're going to be talking about fight or flight. And this is a common reaction from at least regular human beings, where if something is perceived as stressful or frightening, you put yourself in fight or flight mode. So either you're going to try to fight whatever you're dealing with, or you're going to take off, right? So just some common examples. If someone has a phobia, right? If you have a phobia of, let's say, spiders, you see a spider, you're going to take off. In certain communities, there's a common phobia of dogs, right? Because if you're scared of dogs, you're probably scared that they're going to bite you, or you don't like how aggressive they are and you don't want them to get up on you and lick you, and so you run because it's a fear, right? Or you just get stressed out and you don't want to deal with it. Some people, even in their old age, they're scared of the dark, right? That's a common thing because you don't know what actually goes bump in the night. It could be just something falling over in your room, or there could be something or someone in your room. Maybe it's something, right? But that's for a C theory episode. But basically, a lot of our lives, we actually do this not only in situations that endanger our lives, but even when we get comfortable in certain areas. I just like to use work as an example because most people, if you're not in school, you're working a majority of the time. Like, unless you're an infant or you're like a millionaire, or you just have things so on lock that maybe you work X amount of time of the year and then you're relaxing the other time of the year. But when we're at work, even with our friends, we have that fight or flight when it comes to even like community, right? If you're in an office meeting or a meeting with your peers at work and there's a decision that has to be made and you disagree with it, sometimes you're going to have that flight instinct where I could say something, but I'm not going to say anything because you might get stressed out. You might think, oh, all eyes are on me. Maybe you have an idea, but you think that you're going to sound stupid. You're going to sound super stupid. I'm not editing that one out. But yeah, I don't mind sounding stupid at times because, hey, it's a learning point. It's a way to grow. If you're perfect, then you can't get any better, and maybe your perception of perfect isn't as perfect as it seems, right? There's always room to grow, even in the best people that we know, right? Getting back into work and even friends, right? Sometimes you have that fight reaction. I have a close friend and we argue about everything. They're like, anytime something goes personal, we just go back and forth at each other. And it's not that we hate each other. It's just that's our relationship. And it's not 100% toxic. It's kind of toxic, but at the same time, it's not, because we're buddies. But there are certain things that we won't back down on if it's brought up. So that's a fight response, because it's like, oh, I'm not going to let you say that. Or I'm not going to let you feel this way, because if I take the flight response, then you might think that that's okay to say, and it's not okay. So sometimes you become combative. This happens with partners. This happens when certain people have a change of heart or a change of view in maybe just the way one should live life, or they have a change of faith, or they discover something new that seems enlightening to them, and then they completely change how they do things, how they perceive themselves, and even how they perceive others who they've hung out with a long time. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of people, they change, and they can't understand how anybody could stay a certain way. And I think that's a little bit close minded, because you have to remember that you were once at that point in your life too. But some people, once the growth is there, they forget the growing pains, right? So it's like someone who used to be short, and then after they get a growth spurt, and then they just pick on short people. Did you forget that you were short? But that's how some human beings are. Not everybody's like that, but with time, people change. Some people don't, right? So going back to this whole basis of this episode, perseverance, but that's the subtopic or the overarching topic. The main topic is fight or flight. Basically, we have to know when to fight and when we should take on flight, right? There's certain battles that you can't win. And me going through certain experiences, I always tell you guys about my workplace or my old workplace and all the things that I did, and this or that happened. And, when you're younger, or when you're even overly ambitious, because there's nothing wrong with being ambitious, but sometimes you have to figure out that things won't go your way, right? This is something that I've tried to teach my siblings, and then even when I give advice at work or with other people, you have to remember that things aren't always gonna go your way. You could fight, you could push, you could cry, but sometimes it's not gonna work out for you, and it doesn't matter how much you put that effort. The opposite side, the opposite person, the opposite thing isn't going to go with you, right? So like for me, I have a special bond with cats. I don't know why, but cats love me. So with that being said, I don't force myself on cats, but cats usually just come and they chill with me. Even if it's a cat that doesn't really like people, it's going to come to me because it works, right? I'm not going to run away from cats. I don't have a problem with cats. But some people, get upset that it's like, oh, well, I don't understand why my cat likes you, hates everybody. It's like, well, it could hate everybody, but, cats are different, and they sense my energy, and, they're like, hey, this is a pretty cool dude. But anyways, there's certain things that you can't fight. How someone feels about someone at times, right? Like, I think a very common thing is people with friends of friends, right? Some people you do not like, and you don't understand why your friends like that person, or they could even converse with that person, because how you view them is a different way, or if you've had a negative experience with that person. But the problem is that when you try to fight that with another friend or another person that you care about, it also stains your relationship with that person, and it also starts to paint another brush about you, right? Recently at work, someone was like, oh, I couldn't imagine you yelling. You're the type of person, because they have this whole view of me. It's like, you're the type of person where if you got mad, you wouldn't even be able to yell. You'd quietly yell at that person, right? And then after, I was just like, you really think I'm like that? Because, everyone has like a work persona, and I'm not saying that I'm fake at work, but at the same time, anyone who actually knows me knows I have like a ridiculous amount of patience. Like, it's just through all the hardships that I've dealt with in life that I can deal with a lot of bullshit. And sometimes people think that because I am pretty passive of certain things where I use my flight, not even like a full flight instance, it's just that I don't want to engage, is because I know myself and I know where it could lead up to, right? And that's where we need to think about ourselves too. Is it worth having that argument with that person? Is it worth ruining your relationship with your peers or your friends? Is it worth destroying an image of yourself because someone is trying to make you upset or make you angry or make you look like a bad person? It's just like when someone gaslights you, or when you gaslight someone. When you gaslight someone, and you see I'm laughing, it's not that I go and purposely gaslight people all the time, right? I'm a big troll at times, right? But when you gaslight someone, or when someone gaslights you, it just stirs you up in a way, and it makes you look insane. It makes you look insane. So that's a good thing where you need to know how to control yourself, because when you're fighting something where someone's making you look insane, the more energy, the more comments you make, it makes you look crazy. I had an experience a couple of months ago where someone was gaslighting me, and I was in a position where I could express myself, or I thought I could express myself to the fullest. And the way that I expressed myself made me look a little bit crazy, because how angry I got, I went from like 0 to 1,000, not even 0 to 100, 0 to 1,000. And then when I was done my rant, I went back to 0. So I just looked a little bit insane. But that's the type of person I am. Like when I get mad, I could get like super angry. But after I let everything out, it's just like how I'm having this podcast episode, how you guys are listening to me right now. You just need to let it out. But not everybody is like that. Not everybody has that type of self-control. And then a lot of people, at least like with me, some certain things, if I don't want to talk about it, the more that I hear about it, it just like revs me up, right? But at the end of the day, you need to know when to fight, when to flight, right? Especially when it comes to work politics, when it comes to friendships, when it comes to even like dealing with family members, because like you could have friends who you're all cool and everything, and then people are teasing you or bullying you, or you guys fall out because someone's mad at this person, and then people start choosing sides. You need to know when to remove yourself from a situation so that you could grow as a person. I've had my close group of friends, we've been friends for a very long time. Like I have friends that are older than my little sister, in the sense where my friendships have been longer than she's been on this planet, which, the longer life goes, it's still crazy that we're still friends. But not a lot of people are like that, especially these days with social media and all this craziness. Like yesterday I ran into someone from high school. I literally haven't seen them from high school or since high school, and we were just talking about a couple of things. With social media, you could see little bits of people's lives and everything. So I was like advertising the shop to an extent because the spot was really close to the shop, right? So it's just like, why not swing by? Why not say hi? We could get beers or whatever. We could catch up if you have the time, right? But when I mentioned high school, and I think this is just different for my group of friends, I have a lot of friends who I still talk to from high school. There's some that I hang out with on a regular basis, right? But apparently a lot of people aren't like this. So maybe I'll make that a poll where, like, do you still talk to people from high school? Like, I think for the most part, a majority of the people that I was friends with high school, if I was to run into them today, or I was to call them up if I still have their number, they wouldn't even feel weird. Like, recently I messaged someone who I haven't seen since elementary school, because a couple months ago at work, there was someone who had the same last name as him, and he has a very unique last name. So it's just like, if you have this last name, you're probably related. So it ended up being like his little brother, and I was just like, oh wow. And then it's like, it just brought this rush of memories of like just stuff that we did in like the senior part of elementary school, because like my elementary school was kindergarten to grade 8, so there was no middle school, right? But just like running track and doing all this stupid stuff, and I was just like, whoa, I haven't seen this person since elementary. And wow, so I'm like, okay, you know what, maybe I'll eventually hit them up. And I was on IG, and I was like, hey yo, how you doing? And the thing is, a lot of people are like a lot of people are very cautious of that, especially when you start getting older and then like a friend randomly message you, because some people just are trying to sell stuff, or they're trying to scam, or you know, they're gonna randomly ask you for money, and you're just like, what is going on? I haven't heard from you in like 9 years, or like 2 years, or like 17 years. It depends like how old you are, right? And it's like, now you're asking me for what? Right? We weren't even cool in high school or elementary school or like kindergarten or whatever, and you're coming to me? Get out of here, right? Either way, getting back to the topic, fight or flight is something that is good. It helps you make a decision fast, right? Because sometimes if you don't make a decision, you're going to die, or you're going to be overwhelmed, or you're going to look stupid. There's a bunch of things that happen if you don't make decisions, right? You might be stuck in the same spot forever. Last night, when I got home from work, there was a fox on the block. Maybe I should use the picture. Actually, no, it's actually it's a pretty bad picture. But, you know, recently, there's more, like, I think it's just city life, but there's a lot more wild animals. Maybe it's because of the area that I live in, or live near. There's foresty areas, right? So you're going to see a little bit more animals. But, you know, when I saw that fox, I was just like, yo, right? You're staying in the car, you know, we stay in the whip. I'm not trying to be out there trying to fight the foxes, right? There was, oh my days. So on the news, there was this old lady who, I think she got attacked. I think it was a fox. Yeah. She was in her backyard. It was the middle of the day, and this fox went to town on this lady. Yo, the moves that this lady made, I was so surprised that she fought it off. Like, she was fighting it off for like maybe a minute and a half. They showed this on TV, right? Like, when I was a kid, they couldn't show that on TV. They'd be like, we need to give some type of warning because this is gruesome video, right? It wasn't even gruesome, but anyways, like, she was fighting a fox, you know, kicking it, you know, it was swinging on it and everything, and you know, it's grabbing on her leg, wild. And then, you know, her husband came through and the thing ran off because he had like a bat or something like that, right? But the fight or flight, you need to be ready. You never know. But yeah, when you have a little bit more self-control, you could start doing something that I called world building, right? And world building is a term for like a lot of like MMOs or RPGs or like sandbox games where you slowly build the world that you want, and you have to go through adventures and get resources, blah blah blah. But that is life. You have to be world building, right? You need to think about what you want to get in life, and everything that you want to get in life is basically a series of decisions, right? If we go back into like string theory that I've talked about in earlier episodes, you know, every decision makes another decision. Every point is connected to another point, right? Sometimes you're scared of bugs because, like, I know someone who's scared of bugs because they just had a really bad experience when they were a child, and now they're scared of bugs. Sometimes people are indoctrinated to be scared of something. Like, there's a lot of ladies, especially like here in the West, that you guys are scared of like nothing. Like, there's stuff that you're scared of, and it's just like, why are you scared of this? Is this because every other girl is scared of this? Because other parts of the planet, you know, the women will just like swat at it, or, you know, whatever, or they see it and they'll attack it. But over here, like, you're scared of everything, but there's other qualities that don't make sense. You're super aggressive on something, but you're very flighty against other things. I don't know. That's a mini rant there, but I'm not even gonna get started on that. But you gotta focus on your world building, and then you need to know what do you want to achieve next, and do you have to overcome a type of fear so that when you're in that instance, you're fighting against it to persevere instead of flying and never dealing with that issue, right? Sometimes it's good to retreat. Sometimes it's good to back down, right? Because you want to make sure that you're prepared for the battle, right? When you fight, you don't want to lose, right? Because depending on the fight, it could cost you your life. And it's not only your life in the sense of you will die, you don't exist anymore, but sometimes your life is how you're represented. Your reputation is destroyed. You are not you anymore. You're finished as this type of person, right? You know, when people get their stuff leaked, it changes how people view them. There's certain people who online, if they post anything, there's people watching for that person to get back online just to like make sure that they go offline, right? Sometimes you gotta disappear so you could get that glow up, and just persevere. So anyways, this was Fight or Flight. Hopefully you guys are learning when to fight or flight, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.